Hello, I am Anna McClatchy, and I would like to give a recap on David Smith's Chapter 4 of Learning from the Stranger, Christian Faith and Cultural Diversity. In Chapter 4, the reader is introduced to what it looks like to truly love others as our neighbors. Loving others can be difficult, even more difficult if you are drastically different from the person you are trying to love. Many of us may be familiar with the story of the Bible of the Samaritan in Luke chapter 10. In Luke chapter 10, Jesus is making the point that we must love others as our neighbors, no matter their background or views. A scribe asked Jesus, "Who is his neighbor?" In order to answer the scribe, Jesus tells a story of a man traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho who was robbed, beaten, and left on the side of the road. Then 3 different people came upon him. First, the priest, who passed the man on the other side of the road. Second, a Levite, who also passed this half-dead man on the other side of the road. Third, a Samaritan, who helped the man, took care of him, and even paid for him to stay in an inn. Jesus then asked the scribe, who was the neighbor in this situation? The scribe answers, the one who had mercy on him. To which Jesus responds, "Go and do likewise." The severity of this story is lost on some today, Smith points out, as the Samaritan is now seen in a positive light. But for the scribe in the story, this is the most unlikely of characters to be a neighbor to someone who he does not know. The scribe will not even say the word Samaritan in the story. Even for myself, understanding this small piece of information now opens the story up to an even larger meaning of loving your neighbor. Smith goes on to discuss how we are not to love someone as our neighbor, which is equally important to understand. We are not to pity those who are different than us. Just because someone looks or sounds different does not mean that they are in need of our help, as if we are somehow better than they are. We need to lay our pride aside and place ourselves in their shoes before attempting to help them, because what we perceive as help may not be helpful at all. How often do we go out of our way to love on someone who is different than us? I know for myself, it is not as often as I would like for it to be. Loving your neighbor, as Smith indicates, is not a romantic or intense type of love, but finding the God-given value in each person we encounter. Each person is made in God's image, and we should affirm that in each person we encounter. I've been reading A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson lately, and it is fitting on this topic of loving your neighbor. In the book, Williamson discusses that if God is love, then nothing else matters. Simple, yet so complex. We should be love and give love, as we and those around us are made in the image of God. By not loving others as our neighbor, we are denying that fact about ourselves and others. Thank you.